So next up we've got Nick Bennett from Steel. You'll also notice some things on your desks that I'm not sure what they're for or why they're for, but I'm sure all will be revealed very soon. So without further ado, will you please welcome Nick Bennett from Steel.
Thank you. That was nearly an embarrassing radio mic outside moment, but managed to avoid. Okay, alright, so Steel is a digital marketing agency. I've been around for around 18 years in the digital space. We do digital strategy. I'm one of the managing partners, and today I'd like to talk to you about being more sociable and the importance of 4,170. But I think more than that, what I'd quite like to do is take us all on a little cathartic journey, if you'll all be kind enough to join me, where we're going to kick an old habit. And that old habit is called marketing. So if you bear with me for the next 30 minutes, we'll see how we go. So what I really want to do is kind of take you through the key things around digital strategy and social strategy and what we do at Steel and what I firmly believe in. And it's around these three things. It's around socialising, entertainment and time. So I'm thinking about how do we kind of begin this journey? Where do we go? I'd always quite like to regress a little bit first before we go straight into social media and where we are today. I like to sort of take a little look back. And words are important. At the end of the day, we are communicators. Words is our craft at the end of the day. Regardless of the technology, words mean a lot. So I had a look at the definition of advertising and started looking around at the dictionary.com, the Merriam-Webster's, etc. And in 2011, it means the promotion of goods, for services, for sale, through impersonal media such as radio or television. But I started having a look back and I thought, well, let's go a little bit further back. Back to Noah Webster, which is the predecessor of Merriam-Webster dictionary, which is published in 1828. I thought that was quite interesting. Informing, giving notice, publishing notice. All right, so it's fairly standard. Don't think anyone's particularly excited about those. Had a little look at marketing. And again, back in Noah Webster's 1828 edition, marketing isn't even there. So I presume that's a bit of a Don Draper. Came a little bit later, that sort of definition. Not that marketing as a tactic hasn't been there, but the definition of the word. 2011, it's an aggregate of functions involved in moving goods from producer to consumer. Everyone happy about that? Feel comfy? Then I thought to myself, well, let's go a bit more up to date. Let's take a look at another dictionary. So I had a little look at Urban Dictionary for a more sort of social, perhaps refreshing look at these definitions as defined by the crowd. Advertising, the tool of the devil. Advertisers are in league with the devil, I tells ya. Obviously, like anything else in Urban Dictionary, that's also available on mugs and T-shirts. And in marketing, a career in which people, normally men who have an issue with their sexuality and drive mopeds, state the obvious and get paid a lot of money for it. They normally have catchy initials like AA or RR and spend a lot of time getting their signature to look important. And mine's nearly there. It's just awkward commuting in on a moped every day, practicing. But so again, this is me sort of regressing slightly. Yeah, sure. And having a look back at these previous definitions of what people have thought advertising and marketing is, classifying it and publishing it and trying to define it. So it's quite varied views here. I don't think any of us are particularly proud of any of them, really. So let's continue with our cathartic journey. Let's live up to this. Let's try and just bear with me and let's ditch this marketing thing. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. Now, a little more help for us, because the social web has killed advertising and marketing for us. So we don't have to do too much of that today. We can just accept it. It's been killed. Now, not particularly by that gentleman there, who's quite an interesting pose, but because principally it's a shared medium, and that makes a very interesting differentiator between advertising and marketing in the ways that we've been looking at them before. Very broadcast, and we know that. And obviously there's a lot of talk around conversation. Conversation is the new advertising, etc. But I think it goes further than that. And for me, it's this idea of sharing the medium that makes a big difference, because when you share a medium, no one's really in the lead. Consumers, brands, it's kind of like a leveler. Kind of just takes, you know, the edge off. And you'll know anybody here who has had a one-to-one on Twitter with a customer, speaking from a brand point of view to a customer, you know that you are on a level playing field. And that's quite interesting, actually. So that same medium thing is something we'd like to sort of stick with you guys a little bit. Now, when you share the same medium, you have to think a bit differently. You need to leave some space. You can't finish things. You shouldn't be looking to... We can't finish the advert. We can't finish the campaign. We shouldn't do. I mean, we can. Of course we can. But we shouldn't. We should be leaving some gaps. We should be leaving some spaces for this shared medium to be a truly collaborative effort, where people can join in, people can add to it, people can become part of it. You know, I think the talk on Kype earlier was very interesting in that it is this sort of shared interest. You know, people need, you know, when you in a good social environment, the needs on both sides are just as equivalent. And so this idea of sort of shared medium needs a different strategy. It can't be finished. It needs to be rolling. It's quite agile. And I think, you know, certainly at Steel, what we've done over the years is take quite a lot of learnings from agile methodology from technology, and sort of sprinting and scrumming, and take that into marketing and start thinking about how we can get the crowds to influence the campaigns, before the campaigns, what they're interested in, what kind of deals they like, what kind of entertainment they're after. And so it's not just about writing the slogan, it's about leaving the gap, leaving that room for inspiration, leaving that room for this sort of idea of having a shared medium. So, the other thing about this shared medium that we have to bear in mind from brands, marketing, blue chips, is that we're way behind. We are way behind the crowd. The crowd are 3-4 years ahead of us. You know, all these social networks were pumped full of people way before brands were trying to make the most of them, way before brands were trying to do well out of them. So we're behind. So we have to understand that it's a shared medium. That's great. So we're feeling level. But actually, we're coming to the party late. Not fashionably late, late. So there's some catching up to do. And what I quite like to do, what we do a lot at Steel, is actually look outside of, you know, what's happening in advertising and marketing, and look at some great social platforms. And I've picked out 4 here that are, you know, very interesting, and I love them particularly myself. And they give us a great sort of view on how to use this shared medium, how to work with it. I'm sure you've all probably heard of some of them or all of them, but I'll take you through them quickly. Kickstarter. Everyone know Kickstarter? Show of hands. Cool, lovely. Anybody contributed to Kickstarter? Super. So it's a creative funding platform, not started by any brand. It's a platform that's created out of a need. So there's lots of creatives out there putting together books, movies, posters, art, and they can't get funding from anywhere. Kickstarter's popped up. It's going to be running for 2 years, or 2.5 years. I think in April this year, it was their 2nd birthday. And what the platform basically enables, it enables anybody who has a creative project to put a pitch up as a video and offer levels of reward. And those levels of reward are based on the amount of dollars that you're going to commit to the project. So, for instance, if it's a film, you might have a $5 submission, and you get a T-shirt. $25 submission, you get a T-shirt and possibly named in the creds of the movie. $200, you might get to go and sit with the director while the film's being done. $1,000, you might get a part to play in the actual film. So it's fantastic that this sort of platform has just built up. They're offering, again, very intelligent, put together beautifully, but it allows the funding. And over the last 2 years, they've had something in the region of $40 million put through this. That's not bad. It's not bad for a sort of creative platform, not run by any brands, not advertised. It's quite addictive, actually, when you get used to it. There's another one, Fashion Steak. Who's heard of Fashion Steak? It's just again, an incredible idea, started by a couple of Harvard business grads. And one of the things that bugged them, again, a bit like the sort of Kickstarter model, if you like. There's so many designers out there, fashion designers, who don't get heard. No one hears about them. No one sees what they're doing. And it's so tremendously difficult to get picked up by a brand, fashion house, and get your work out there. So the fashion state got put together. Let's democratize fashion. What they have is they have this process of basically vetting new designers. And at the moment, they've got 240 designers. And these 240 designers put together prototypes of the items of fashion that they intend to make. They put them into a voting booth, and the community vote. If the community votes, so it gets enough demand, it gets produced as a limited edition from a new designer, up and coming, voted for by the crowd. So it's being moderated. This is a shared medium. This is beautiful. It's not run by a brand. It's not advertised. It's grown organically. And again, just a fantastic way of bringing great fashion that would never have been seen, would never have been worn, to the masses. Kiva.org. Who knows Kiva? Again, another fantastic platform. So there's charity organisations all over the place. Lots of marketing. It's a big business, charities. And Kiva decided to do it quite differently. So with Kiva, it's essentially looking at countries in need and then going down to an individual basis, because they have quite a big ground team, and they find individuals who need some help for a local business to support their local community. But instead of donating money, you loan money. It's like, that's great. Why didn't anyone think of that before? Well, because with charities, if you're donating, you're not donating through a social platform. You're just handing some money over. But with a social platform like this, you can follow the person that you have donated or you've put the loan forward to. Now, have a look at that. 2.4 million this week has been lent through Kiva.org. Now, I'm pretty crap at maths, but somebody in the room must be able to give me a yearly figure on that. Who's good at maths? Simon, you look good at maths. 52 times that. Can't be that difficult.
Well, 50 times, a million.
Right.
24.8 million.
Thank you. So, on a yearly basis, look at that. Massive. And they have this, they have a figure of 98.8% of all loans get repaid. What a fantastic platform that is. Again, not started by a brand. This is a platform.
Bank? Banks can't do that.
Totally. I mean, it's fantastic. But again, you look at these things and you think, well, this is how the shared medium has been working for a while. We're catching up. Quirky is another lovely one. So, Quirky is socially developed products. And what they do, essentially, is they have a great community. And I think they have around 137 products in their shop at the moment, which have been produced through this platform. And essentially, you can see here, that's you, that blue thing there, you. You start here, idea submission, community creates it, so they curate, choose which are the best ideas, product gets evaluated by some experts. Over here, a bit of research, design, branding, engineering, finalisation, and then some pre-sale goes on. So a small, limited amount get put into the market to see if it's working, like any normal manufacturing process. But this is a process that the social is a social movement. It's full of people who arbitrate all the way through. You get value points. There's lots of interesting ways that they look to do the what's in it for me. But ultimately, if your product reaches a threshold, it gets manufactured, big time. And then you cash in. And again, fantastic. How could we have done this before? So I think, looking at those and looking at how those mediums work, I've been saying to myself, I want to ditch this marketing thing. I want to ditch those old definitions and think of something different. Think of a different way of looking at it. And so, when the brand and the consumer share the medium, it's not marketing anymore. It's socialising. And actually, hold on a minute. We don't need to invent new words. We don't need to invent a crazy, wacky word that is this is a new thing. It's not. Socialising. We do it all the time. It's easy. It's not difficult. And you look at all those platforms we went through before, they're all things that are in existence. It's just connecting the two sides. It's connecting the facilitation and the people who have this skill or this product. It's fantastic. So it's socialising. So we kind of had a look at what that would mean. So as a verb, it's actively exchanging thoughts, feelings, opinions with the people who share a common interest in your products and services. And again, that actually, looking at it like that, makes you think differently about advertising and marketing. It makes you think differently about your products, because you're not necessarily selling your products all the time, like price, half price, 20% off, bog off. You're actually thinking, oh, hold on a minute, there's people out there who actually love my product, like my product. Let's socialise with them a little bit. Let's get them into a bit of a community. And this is the sort of thing that creates the earned media. And I know, you kind of think, well, that's fine, I get that. It's like, if you're Nike, big FMCG, or you're Lucozade or something, yeah, the fans are going to come running to your Facebook. What about duct tape? Who's looked at duct tape Facebook page? Have a little look. 4.5 million fans? What? Duct tape? Imagine getting that as a brief. Yeah, hello there. We'd like a big Facebook push, and we want about 4.5 million fans. What the hell are you going to do with that? Well, guess what? Look at. You know what happens with duct tape? It is a massive craft. People use all different coloured bits of duct tape to create things. It's massive. They have great competitions, but they just found within their community, within the people, they started socialising and realised, bloody hell, it's not just used for gagging and wrapping things up. People do art. People create stuff. That's fantastic. Let's socialise. Let's just facilitate that. Brilliant. 4.5 million people socialising. Fantastic. I'd like to have them as a client, actually, if that's possible. So, Rumble. The first truth bomb. Also, it's a little Twitter break. Not that anybody needs a break by the looks of it. Where I'd like to say, well, as part of this cathartic give up marketing today, let's start socialising. The first truth bomb is it is time to give up marketing and start socialising. So I think it's everyone take a little moment. I'll stay away from that. Pop a tweet out. There we go.
Live tweeting during your presentation.
Live tweeting during the presentation,
And
fully
I'll take a
interactive.
picture of you live tweeting your presentation. I'll live tweet the picture of me live tweeting you.
Shall I put a duck whistle in my mouth as well, just to make it really extra special?
All right, ready? Everyone say cheese. Fantastic. Wasn't it
Super.
worth it?
Okay, so let's have a little moment now. So hopefully, we've kind of got this idea. We're going to give up marketing, right? So stick with me. Let's be cathartic. Let's just get rid of the bloody thing. Let's think we're socialising now. We're socialising. Socialisers. You're going to have to get your pens out now and scribble that marketing word off all your business cards. Socialising manager, socialising director, etc. So what I'd like to do now, and I love this picture, that's a wake. Look at that. People like to have fun, seriously. I'd like to recreate that with this group. No, not going to do that. So what I thought I'd do now is, you've all seen a little toy I've left you on your desks. It's a duck whistle. It does need a hefty blow. So can we all just grab our duck whistles? Let me see how many we've got in the room, please. Thank you very much. So, going to do a little, yeah. Sorry to anybody who's the 500 people that are streaming this. It's going to be a bit horrible. Sound man, I'm going to blow your speakers. Right. So, what I want to do now is a little bit of a live experiment. I'm going to ask some questions, and I'm going to go blow. All right. But be honest. This is truth bomb time. This is truth bomb time. Be honest. Right. So, who knows about Twitter? Of course. Big. Right. Who has their own Twitter account? Massive. Who tweets more than 8 times a day? Blimey, pretty good. Okay, who has a Twitter account for brands that they work on or brands that they own? Standard. Who works in the customer services department and deals on a day-to-day basis with people actually? Cool. Right. So you've engaged on a one-to-one level. You've started socialism, but that's customer service. So you kind of expect that. Who's actually just had a bit of a natter with somebody? Not bad. But you see, what's happening here is we're going down and down, less and less whistles, because guess what? We haven't really been socialising, have we? But we can, because the opportunity is there. Think about it, and I always love those, back to the shop floor programs. Those ideas of senior management having to get back downstairs and do a bit of scrubbing or something. It's fantastic. Everybody loves it, and it's good. It's good, and everyone benefits from that. We can all do that because the social shop floor is sitting there. Just pick up your iPhone, get yourself set up on Hootsuite or TweetDeck, help out your team. Get in there, put a few tweets in, start talking to people. Why not? Why not? So, guess what's coming now? Truth bomb number 2, and perhaps another time for a quick tweet.
Tell everyone what you're tweeting.
Everybody should do time on the social shop floor. Get back to the shop floor, have a natter with people. Right, so that's socialising. The second of the key 3 items is entertainment. I think this has been talked about earlier today, as there's quite a few of these things. Entertainment is vital. People love a bit of entertainment. Oh, blimey, don't we love a bit of entertainment? We're human, for God's sake. We don't just want to see adverts and products and services and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Everyone likes to be entertained. And you look at what that means from a business level. You look at Apple, you think about Apple, where they came from. They went from geek to cool. How did they do that? How did they make that transition? Great computers they used to make. Very niche, very creative. You know, the people that had Macs, they were the geek, they were cool. But broadly speaking, how did they do that? Entertainment. You know, they started by, you know, initially, their break into the market was around the iMacs time, where they took the computer, put it in the back of the monitor, and put those lovely colours. It's like, fantastic. Don't you love Apple? Their product innovation's superb. But what really did it for them was the idea of entertainment. Entertainment, iPod. iPod came out around the same sort of time as the iMacs. And then from iPod, music, loads of music, to iPhone, music and phone, to iTunes Festival, they've become an entertainment brand, massive. And the iPod propped up the business for a while. And then you take a look at the lovely shimples. And have you all seen the latest TV ads? They're fantastic. They're advertising the soft toys that you can get of the meerkats. They're actually advertising the entertainment concept, not the product. That's fantastic. It's like the entertainment idea has eclipsed the product and the sales of the product. They've probably got a good revenue stream now on fluffy meerkat dolls. So it's fantastic. And so I grabbed this old David Ogilvy quote, one of our great forefathers, and just a little tweet to it. So, unless your social campaign contains a big entertaining idea, it will pass like a ship in the night. We don't want that to happen, do we? Thank you. So a little bit of entertainment and a bit of a case study from us. So Greg's the Bakers is one of our... Thank you. Greg's the Bakers is one of our accounts, working with them for about 18 months on their digital strategy, building websites, ECRM, social, trying to bring everything together. But what we've been trying to do from the beginning is stick with the what's in it for me. Back to the kite talk earlier, it rings absolutely true. People need to have an incentive. You can't get away with it without it. No one's going to be interested. So we've always had these things, these bog-offs, buy one, get one free. That you're looking at there is a bog-off. It's a buy one, get one free donut. But what we did with it, we kept that underlying basic of bog-off, and we built an entertainment platform around it. So we had 100,000 donuts to give away. We could have just gone, yeah, I need a bit more time on my moped practicing my signature, so we'll just go for 100,000 donuts, put a Facebook page up, put a gateway, and just run it. It's fine. But we thought, hold on, let's keep doing it. And we've been building and building more entertainment into all of the concepts. So we came up with this idea with this new range of donuts, because they had quite a lot of personality. We thought, you know what, let's create a platform, an entertainment platform that people are going to get. So we basically created this idea of basically the donut Oscars. And these 4 celebrity A-lister donuts were rocking into town to get your votes. So we had Strawberry Milkshake, who was kind of like the it girl. We've got Jaffa Cake Rocks, air guitaring all over Twitter. We've got Snowball, and we've got Trip Chop Vanilla, so footballer and Hollywood actress. So an important part of this was building the backstory. So we put videos together to show the backstory of where they came from, how they rose to fame, and how they're looking forward to win this most celebrated award in the donut calendar. So we built this whole sort of concept behind it. Videos were up on YouTube, all great. Facebook page was running. We gave each of them a Twitter account as well. And I think importantly, going back to some of these early discussions that we listened to today, it's so important to get your team buoyed up and working on it. Now, what we could have done was gone, okay, copywriter, that's going to be your job. Do all 4 of them. See you later. Just give me an update every now and then. No. What we did was we handed out the accounts to 4 people. I managed to get Jaffa Cake Rocks. Meow. And then with those 4 people, gathered them all together and said, right, we're going to go nutty on this. We're going to go nutty. Stick with it. Twit like mad. We all built up the characters. We built a relationship mapping diagram of how the relationships between donuts worked. And we got into character. And for 2.5, 3 weeks, I was a Jaffa Cake donut. My Twitter account suffered terribly. My clout scores never got back to where it would be. But Jaffa Cake's doing all right. And we had fantastic response. And the team were engaged. We were having fun. We were being entertained by it. And guess what? Every person that we met on Twitter, every person that found us, every conversation, not a bad word was to be said. They loved it. People got it. People just liked the idea. Just pulled out a couple of examples here. I have been tweeted by a Jaffa Cake donut twice. I'm his new best buddy, forever being the coolest gal in Burnley. Yeah, that's too many kisses. I can't even deal with that. Conversation with Helen Milligan. Greg's the Bakers, our new donuts, have their own Twitter accounts! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Twitter account handles. Jaffa Cake came back, you rock! Air guitar solo just for you. Wow, wow, wow. Seen my new video yet? Someone else chimed in, one of the followers of Helen Milligan, at Jaffa Cake Rocks. Hey, I've seen your movie. You're so cool. Much cooler than the other donuts. I think you're a winner. So they've already just instantly got this idea. They're in it. They're in the Oscars with us, trying to see which donut's going to win, and they're getting on board instantly. There was no question about it. People just got it because the entertainment concept wasn't convoluted. Simple. Everyone gets Oscars. Everyone gets the fact that every donut is going to be... And also there was lots of in-banter as well. There was lots of fighting between us because we obviously had certain levels of reward for my team. So what I had various rewards, so bottles of very cheap champagne for anybody who could get a celebrity to follow them and tweet them. And Coconut Snowball won that one really because she got Danny Wallace following and had some good conversations with Danny Wallace. But we had various other things, so at the end of the day everyone got a bottle of cheap pop. It's pretty bad pop, actually. Sort of stuff that makes you feel a bit acidic. And then some other interesting things happened. Some Twitter conversations started that were actually quite interesting. So this was a conversation I had with someone. It was off the back of one of the other donuts who'd been talking to this lady, and I chimed in and said, hey, why are you not voting for me? Air guitar solo coming your way. And she went, at Jaffa Cake Rocks, oh, don't worry, I voted for you. Kiss. So I'm like, nice, nice, nice. So, hey, back to you. Sings in rock style, have I told you lately I'm your donut? She came back with, for me, there is no one else above you. I went back with, you take away all my sadness. And she came back with, fill my tummy with gladness, ease my troubles, that's what you do. Is that the first ever duet that's happened on Twitter between 2 people on an anthropomorphised product, a donut filled with Jaffa? And, you know, on that level, we had so many, we had thousands. I mean, towards the, you know, in a couple of weeks, we had altogether around 4,000. We built 4,000 followers. Big influence network off the back of that. And then even this lovely lady who was actually a European MTV Award nominee got chatting to us all and decided to write us a song. She wrote a song for the donuts and put it on her website. Acoustic, sort of Tracy Chapman style. Wow, we were just like, the next morning we were like, guys, have you seen this? We've got someone's written a song for us. And in retrospect, I'm thinking back to this and thinking the budget discussions at the beginning and thinking, right, we've got some budget, we've got a campaign to do. Yeah, we can just put that bog off out there. It's fine. Let's get a bit of let's get some banners out there as well. Let's do some PPC. You know, let's stick a blind network in and just thrash the world with banners and just go free donut. But do you think anybody would have written a song off the back of a free donut banner? I don't. It's another truth bomb time. So this one is basically, your brand is not a 300-page manual, it's a social animal. You have to start thinking of brands differently now. We can't think that our brand is a logo that has exclusion zones. It's a social animal. We're socialising now. I'm going to rattle through this. So, time. So we've done entertainment, we've done socialising. Let's have a look at time. 4,170. Who's guessed it yet? Who knows what that number means? What's the relevance of that number?
Jeff Cake followers. Jeff the Donut followers.
Could be. It's actually the minutes spent in digital channels each month in the UK by ABC Ones. Now, the reason that this interests me is when you look at these things, 35 minutes on a mobile daily, 41 minutes daily on websites, 40 minutes daily on email, 23 minutes daily in social, times 30 days, gives us 4,170. That math was done by a calculator. But that's lean-in time as well. And this is the opportunity. So what we like to do at Still, and what we like to think about is, let's not think of planning in the old marketing way of channels, numbers, reach, frequency, impressions, share of voice. Let's think of share of day. We're socialisers. Let's think about how long we can spend with people, where we can be, and let's connect everything together. Let's not just think social is that little number at the end. Social should be at everything, because socialising doesn't happen in one place. Socialising happens everywhere. So it should happen everywhere online as well, in all digital channels. Now, you've all seen the lean in, lean back, so I'll just skip right past that. So this interesting build. So very simply, what we like to look at is this idea of earned media. Media that isn't necessarily paid up front for. It's earned through a good campaign that has an entertaining concept where we've gathered interest in products and growing affinity for it. 45 million is based on 30-odd million UK Facebook, around 7 million active Twitter, and about 8 million blogs. So it could be bigger, could be slightly smaller, a bit of doubling up, but essentially it's a big audience, over half of the UK. And we also know that 78% of consumers trust social peer recommendations, only 14% trust adverts. So advertisers and marketers are pushing the adverts out there, that's fine, they're getting 14% trust. When we stop and get rid of that marketing thing, and we start thinking we're socialising, we're a peer in a shared medium. We're a peer chatting to these people about shared interest in products. So we start to become the 78% rather than the 14%. And also, social is a fantastic brand channel. It's a fantastic brand channel. You know, the days of old media being spent thrashing hundreds of thousands into digital channels for brand, earned media. There's much better ways. So we take that 23 minutes of social, we look at how that creates this reciprocal conversation which starts to bring more people in towards our data capture point. So maybe it's like to begin with, but let's look a bit further. Let's take that like and convert that into email. But let's be sociable in all of our channels. Let's not think that websites can't be sociable. Websites, emails, they don't have to be written, you know, as if they're completely different. They should be sociable. This socialising attitude should happen in all our channels, should link together. And with that, we get a much bigger pull through this sort of 78% peer recommendation model. And that takes us through from this sort of social brand awareness, which is this earned media, through to data capture, into sales. So, final truth bomb. We change channels more often than our socks. Socialise everywhere. I'll pop that one off as well. So while I leave you to all just have a little look at that last one there. Excuse me for the indulgence. So, these are the key three things that will allow us to give up marketing today. We've looked at this mind shift, this idea of socialising. Again, it's nothing new, but it's just a slightly different way of looking at things. It's just looking at it slightly from the side. We're still doing the same things. In fact, we're better. I guarantee you, everyone in this room is a better socialiser than they are a marketer. Might be going to get Really looking forward to the questions after this. But this mind shift about this shared medium and the fact that we're now socialising, we're not advertising, we're not marketing, we're not Noah Webster definitions, we're not Urban Dictionary definitions either. And then when you've got that mind shift sorted, you start thinking about the big idea. And the big idea isn't just the sale, it isn't just the product, it's the idea of building an entertainment platform. We've seen that grow and get massive results. You know, one of the fantastic things that happened off the back of the donut campaign was that we got a write-up in the Times on page 25. It's like fantastic. Again, another great moment. Also came off the back of the chairman announcing that the third quarter of sales had been propped up by Superstar Donuts and a campaign that created a huge conversation. great testament, and we were very pleased with that. And if you can capture the imagination and start thinking when you're doing your planning, not about numbers and impressions, but share of day, then that's kind of how we plan at Steel. And that cathartic journey is now over. Thank you very much.
Well, Nick, in my 43 years now, it's the first time we've had duck whistle at a conference, so thanks for indulging us there. I'm sure you can keep them, and you bring them to the next conference and have the truth bomb there as well. I loved everything you said, and I probably agree with absolutely everything. If I could condense it into a paragraph, social media is like real life. We all had a coffee break. We all sat around talking to each other. Some of you that wanted to talk to someone else gradually worked out how they could add value to the conversation. You gradually moved towards them and started a conversation. I saw no one out there with a megaphone saying, buy my product, because you would have told them to go away. In fact, when the gentleman yelled to say, come back in, it's time, that wasn't an ad, it was a direction, but actually we felt a bit uncomfortable there because someone was yelling at us. Yelling at people as advertising. I think the real challenge for all of us in the room is we have been conditioned to market and advertise, reach and frequency. We don't know any better. You are right, we are better socialisers than marketers. We all did it 25 minutes ago. We all talked to people that we either knew or didn't know, and we introduced ourselves. And we remember those conversations. And our peers will remember those conversations. So peer advocacy will eventually replace mainstream marketing, in my view, because I trust my friends and my social network more than advertisers, even though I'm in advertising. Another quick segue. My wife is the biggest anti-ad, anti-social media person in the world. But when she goes to Google, she says there are no ads on Google. It's because she finds things that are relevant. So what we've got to do is be relevant in our socialising. So thanks so much, Nick. I'm sure there are lots of questions. Can you duck whistle if you have a question, please? No questions. You've blown them away, Nick. Duck whistle first, please. We need a duck whistle. Lady in the front there.
Can you just clarify, did you actually use your own Twitter account to become Jaffa Cake Rocks?
No.
So how did it affect your clout score?
So, sorry, a little bit of confusion there. We set up completely separate and brand new accounts for each of the donuts. So it was a completely, totally separate account. How it affected my score on my clout is that I just didn't even touch my own Twitter for 3 weeks. Couldn't go near it. I was enjoying myself and having far too much fun and talking to people with as Jaffa Cake Donut. The secret is out.
I've got to step in there, and this is the only paid thing I'll talk about. I'll talk later about cred. Cred is the new, what you said, I'm not mentioning the K word because I'm not allowed to, but influence, there's another guy, a gal in town, it's called Cred, I'll talk about later on. It's better than what's there at the moment, and we've developed it, so I'll talk about that later on. Other duck whistle question in the front. You've already had one, I will let you have it, but is anyone else who hasn't had a question yet? And I'll come back to you. Okay. Yes, next to the lady in the duck.
Yeah, hello. One of the issues I see really is that a lot of brands are simply using social as another channel, and it really is still all about push. I think what you're advocating strongly, which is something I'm also into, is the idea of involving customers more in the business itself. It's a new kind of brand democracy, not the kind of brand democracy that actually says that we actually know better, you elect us, and you can say what you want, but we're going to do what we think you want. Yeah. So as you involve them more, this message sounds quite radical. When I see chief marketing officers and people like that, they tend to go, well, okay, I really love that idea, it's a great concept, but they find it hard to translate into something which fits with their normal metrics, their normal KPIs. It's just a bit of a problem for them. Is that what you're also experiencing?
Yeah, it's a super question, and it's vital because it basically is logistics and resource and setup. You know, what you've identified there is that it's a great idea. How's our business going to satisfy that? We've got people in these places. We've got marketers who are and have been the decision makers always. You know, and to make that step from decision maker to curator is a hard step. You know, there's a lot of people that aren't prepared to do that because it's always been their way, and they've been right. So it's a very difficult step. It's a very difficult step to take logistically. It's very difficult to talk to a trading board of any retail company and say, I know you guys have been making decisions for all these years and you've been done fantastically well. We're now taking that away from you, putting it over here, and we're letting the mob decide. And it does, you know, initially it becomes a very frightening thing from a conceptual point of view, but as you pointed out, it also becomes logistically a very difficult thing to do and can't be done in a lot of cases. In which case, the approach that we take around that is to look for small ways to sort of incorporate that. So, for instance, if you had looking at that sort of fashion stake idea, if you have a company that is a fashion brand, and really what you want to say to them is just do fashion stake. It's brilliant. And they're like, whoa, 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 we've been a high street retail brand for so long. We can't just do that. Okay, well then just take Threadless or Spreadshirt. I don't know if you guys know Threadless and Spreadshirt. They're basically T-shirt democracy models where the community put designs forward. People go demand, 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 supply. You can get one of the Spreadshirt models. They do all of the back end. All they take is a commission. So you could just take that small bit and say, look, let's just do this, try it, and start to build confidence. What we found is it does take a while, and you're absolutely right. With the bigger the organisation, the more difficult it is to work your way through the decision makers to become curators, but also logistically. And so by proving it with small cases, you start to build the confidence. You can look at the metrics off the back of that. You can keep an eye on things, show the results, show the KPI shifts, and it starts to build the confidence. And it does take time. It's not an overnight thing.
Great question. Jack at the front here.
A quick question. Brand democracy, you've been banding around this word democratize. Is it possible that you mean equalize? Is it possible that there are reasons to have social hierarchies and entry levels which are democratic?
Okay, so versus just like anarchy, random anarchy. So I think I don't know if this is going to answer your question.
You mentioned about fashion stake democratizing fashion.
Yep.
Is it possible that you mean equalize? And if that's what you mean, because within democracy there are social hierarchies and there are entry levels, and they might be there for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the other thing, and it's a good point, but I think the idea here is that when we say sort of, and this democratized fashion is what Fashion State call it. It's not about anarchy. And yes, it is about equalisation, because I think that democracy is. But you're absolutely right. There needs to be a structure, and absolutely, you can't just go anybody, everything, always. What's going to happen? You need to have a structure. And you look at early examples like My Starbucks Idea. I think when My Starbucks Idea first started, they said, "Here's this great site. Come up with ideas. We'll all discuss them, and we'll put them into action." And 90% of the first ideas were cheaper coffee, cheaper coffee, cheaper coffee, and they went, "Oh." So again, the strategy, when you're looking at things like that, is not to open the floodgates. You open the floodgates without the structure, as you talk, absolutely rightly. The structure is the strategy. How you open the floodgates, how you test the market, allow people, and be upfront about it. Say, look, it's not going to happen overnight. We're going to start with these few things. Who wants to be part of the beta testers? Who wants to be involved? There is a structure. Let's work through it together. So it is equal, but you're absolutely right. There needs to be a structure in place to handle it.
Last question, then we'll move on to the next session.
Question on traditional media or traditional marketing versus the socialising you're talking about. How are you measuring that in terms of return on investment and in terms of smart objectives?
Sure. If I could, totally. It's a huge question, and I think Carl's probably going to cover a lot more of that than I'll have time for now. But I think for me, it splits into two things. Just to clarify, although I'm a big advocate of digital, obviously, and social, when I talk about all channels, every channel has a place. The lean back, lean forward is not, for me, it's not about knocking TV. It's fantastic. Every channel has its place. The idea of socialising throughout all of them just means getting the entertainment idea across it. In terms of measuring it, massive. It's a huge session. We have put together various models and benchmarks that we use. There's the sort of media equivalent values that Starbucks use to justify some of their return on investment. And I think, I think one of the key things for when you're talking about social and return on investment, unless you have e-commerce and analytics plugged in which case obviously it's just like traditional web traffic, you have to look at the return a bit more flexibly, because it might not just be directly in monetary, dollars, pounds, etc. But the return is KPI shifts, for instance, which would have been part of a brand campaign, and pre and post measurement and lift of those KPIs is considered a value to the business. You could look at data value, so you could look at the capturing of data, whether it's likes on Facebook or email data capture, and again, you either look at that as, well, we know with our base size in email, over a period per annum, this is the amount of return we get through the business. So if we were to put another 100,000 people into that base or another 1,000 people into that base, we know that the percentage will return per annum. So there are different ways, but you have to be prepared to be flexible with what our return means.
Okay, would you please thank Nick with a duck whistle? Thank you so much. I've just been told there are now 1,150 people watching live, so that duck whistle went out to a very large audience, a global audience. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you,
You're
everybody.
missing all the fun if you're watching the live stream.